Social services are defined as a variety of services provided to the public by nonprofit, government, and private organizations, with the intention of bettering the community and the lives of disadvantaged peoples. Social services can include, but are not limited to, education, food subsidies, healthcare, job training, subsidized housing, adoption, community management, policy research, and lobbying. In essence, social services seek to solve some of the problems of society by giving to the disadvantaged at low or no cost. This semester, we all served at nonprofit organizations that were considered social services. Though the organizations were vastly different, we saw very similar issues within them.
The Orchard Community Learning Center is a nonprofit organization. They are a half-farm, half-resource center that aims to both educate the community on healthy living and sell healthy and fresh produce to families that otherwise would not have these healthy foods. My experience here was not a typical service learning experience. While I helped teach visiting students about farming and healthy foods, ran farmers markets, and interacted with many government aid workers, I also had to learn the ins and outs of industrial farming. I interacted with a variety of people. I learned farming, but also what it's like to leave everything in Mexico to immigrate here for work. I had a real place to see issues covered here in class. It was very moving to be able to give a statistic a face. The Orchard is not a classroom setting. It forces the leaders to be innovative about activities that will still benefit students. The most significant problem that I've seen is the effect that poverty has on the school-age student. Many of the students are on reduced or free lunches, have clothes that are worn through, and have a very hard time focusing on tasks.
Tempe Neighbors Helping Neighbors is a nonprofit organization that aims to help the elderly community. We use volunteers to help alleviate the issues elderly people face when they have no one else to help them, at no cost. Volunteers use an online portal to accept requests made by members of the elderly community. On a daily basis, volunteers could drive a member to a doctor's appointment, take them on errand runs, or help them around the house.
The most significant learning that has resulted from my experience is that about how poverty affects health. I work with elderly people within my organization, and they have many health issues that are worsened due to their financial state. In my future classroom, I would teach my students about poverty, budgeting, and the healthcare system to make them more informed and better prepared for their future.
Personally, I was able to create relationships with the elderly community and make them feel comfortable confiding in me for help. Career-wise, I was able to gain experiences and listen to stories to help back my argument about integration of generations. Academically, I was able to experience and reflect on enough to better my writing and argument skills.
Helen's Hope Chest is a nonprofit organization that provides clothing to foster and kinship children. We also provide books, personal care products, and other supplies that these families may not be able to afford. My experience here was unlike what I thought it would be, and I ran into a lot of incredible people who took in children that were not their own out of the kindness of their own hearts. Foster kids can come every 3 months and get 5 outfits each time. Unfortunately, we don't always have the styles they like or enough clothing of a certain kind, and some people also get mad when they can't get brand new clothing. It's hard not to be able to give them what they want, especially because we have such limited resources. As someone who lacks it, I found patience to be my saving grace when dealing with most of the situations at my service. My most significant takeaway sounds cliche, but it is that teaching is a lifestyle, not just a career. I've learned that being an active and engaged teacher means constantly considering the needs of my students and of their parents. It means being politically involved and being aware of the big issues in my community. My students will always come first. But I actually learned a lot more than just patience at my internship. Personally, I grew in my knowledge of the foster care system and was able to break out of my privileged bubble. Academically, I improved my writing and my time management skills. Professionally, I reinforced my career aim to work in a Title I school, working with kids who need it the most. The most common issue throughout our service experiences was poverty, a rampant issue globally as well. 80% of the world lives on $10 a day or less. 3 billion people live on less than $2.50 a day, and 1 in 3 people live on less than $1 a day. 2 in 3 people also lack access to clean water. But poverty isn't just something happening in other countries. It's here in the United States, and it's here in all communities. In the United States, 43.1 million people are living in poverty. Around 20% of people under the age of 18 are living in poverty. Arizona is amongst the most poor states in the country, with around 23% of the population living in poverty.
Created using Powtoon.